Hello and welcome to another video on Microsoft Fabric. And in today's video, we would like to work with event streaming. So in this video, first of all, we have to create event streaming and then we have to handle it. Now, to handle it, we have few options. One of the option is that we send it to Data Activator or Reflex and let it send some triggers or alerts to us. Another option is we send it to KQL database. Third option is that we save it on Fabric lakehouses. In today's video, what we are going to do is we are going to create an IoT hub. First of all, we will tell you how can you create a device which can generate the messages. Instead of using a sample data, you can create a device using a GitHub code, Raspberry Pi. We will tell you how can you use the Raspberry Pi to create a device which will generate the data, and then how you want to get the data in Azure IoT Hub, and post that we can take our actions to handle that data in Microsoft Fabric. So these are going to be our step today to make this configuration work. So first of all, we need to create Azure IoT Hub. Then we have to add IoT device. After the device is created, we will open the device pane and copy the primary key. We will open the Raspberry Pi online simulator and put our primary connection string there. In this manner, we are going to do this exercise today. Once data reach to Microsoft Fabric, in today's video, we are going to take help of Data Activator or Reflex to create some triggers and see can we get some messages out of it, or can we get some trigger or alerts when values go below or above a certain value. That's we are going to test it out. So let's understand what is Data Activator from the documentation. So this is Microsoft Fabric documentation where I have already opened Data Activator, and Reflex is part of the Data Activator. So Data Activator is a no-code experience in Microsoft Fabric for automatically taking actions when pattern or conditions are detected in changing data. So basically a data stream is coming in, or there is a data which is coming in, and then there is some change happening. That change can be detected using Data Activator. It monitors the data in Power BI reports. It can monitor in Power BI report and even streaming items for when the data hits certain threshold or matches other patterns. So either it hits a threshold or it matches a pattern. It then automatically takes appropriate action such as alerting user or kicking off Power Automate workflow. So we can use Power Automate workflow, or we can get some messaging which we will see when we actually implement it. Data Activator allows customer to build a digital nervous system that acts across all their data at the scale in timely manner. Business users can describe business condition in no code experience to launch actions such as email, team notification, Power Automate flow, and call into third-party action system. Business user can self-service their needs and reduce their reliance on internal IT or developer teams, either of which often costly and hinders agility. The customer organization do not need a developer team to manage monitoring and alerting solution. Okay, what are the components? The core components: events, objects, triggers, properties. Now, where will you get Data Activator? First of all, you need to enable the Data Activator in the preview in the tenant setting, which I'm going to show it to you. And then you have the Data Activator which you can get, and you have to create the Reflex items, and Reflex items are available under the new item. So let me showcase you that on app.powerbi.com. So in app.powerbi.com, first of all, admin has to enable it. So admin has to go to settings, admin portal, click on that. You will get tenant settings. Under the tenant setting, data activator, it has to be enabled. I have enabled it for the entire organization. As a user, you have to go to a workspace. Let me give you an example. In a workspace, let's say I'm using 01GA Fabric. You have this Reflex option available here. Not only this, when we create the event streaming, there also we can add the Reflex action. Here, if you click on the Reflex action, it will open the data activator Reflex, and you can define on, you can say get data or use sample data. You can click on the get data and you can use Power BI, and that is what we are going to do later. But today we are going to focus on event streaming. So let's begin our journey with app.powerbi.com, which is Microsoft Fabric also. In Microsoft Fabric, let me go to a workspace, and the workspace which I want to use today is 01GA Fabric. Let me click on that. In this workspace, I will create a new event streaming. For that, I can click on new and more options. Inside the more option, I have to scroll down and go till event streaming, and let me click on that. Let me call it event stream 1. It doesn't allow spaces, so let me remove those spaces and say create. Once I create the event streaming, I will explore what all options I have for source and destination, and post that we will try to get the source data. Event streaming has been created, and for new source I have option for sample data, Azure Event Hub, Azure IoT Hub, and custom app. I am going to use today Azure IoT Hub, and I will also show you configuration for the same. For destination, I will use today Reflex, and in the Reflex we are going to configure our alerts or triggers. So we are going to configure trigger in the Reflex. So now the next step is to create Azure IoT Hub, map a device to it to generate the data, and then use it in Microsoft Fabric event stream. To create IoT Hub, I am here on my portal.azure.com, and as you can see, I already created an IoT Hub. But I'll let you know how to create an IoT Hub. So let me search for IoT and click on IoT Hub. It shows me all the IoT Hub. Let me click on create. Let me provide a resource group. The IoT Hub name. I give a name. The name should be unique. It got it. Now it is showing me some charges. I could have used some free tier if available, but that's not available for me. So I am using the subscription I have, and I can choose the minimum. So for the daily message limit in my subscription, this is the minimum one which I had, which I need to have. So I'll use that only. So let me say next networking. We will say public access, and version we can choose 1.0 or 1.2 depending on need. Management, we will say shared key and RABC. IoT Data Hub contributor role, we can say IoT Hub data contributor role to me, or devices cloud partitions we can create. We can give a number. I'll keep it as is. Add-ons also I'll keep as is. Tags I'm not going to create, and then review and create. I can press on create and create my new IoT hub, but because I already have one, I'm not going to do that. So let me go back to my IoT hub. In my IoT hub, I have IoT hub Amit. Let me open it. This is how it will look like once you create your IoT hub. Inside the IoT hub, shared access policies, we have IoT owner hub, networking. Let me click on devices under the IoT. There is no device as of now, so let me add one device. And let me give the name of the device as, and I will save this with the default information. Now it's creating a device. The device has been created. Let me click and check the information on the device. I got my primary key, secondary key, primary connection string and secondary connection string. Now to configure a device, I need a device where I can give this primary connection string. For that, let me take you through the slides. Here I have this Azure sample GitHub IO Raspberry Pi web simulator, which I'm going to open now. And I'll use next, got it. Here you need one information which you need to provide is your IoT hub device connection string. Let me go ahead and copy this primary connection string and go ahead and provide it here. Rest I'll leave everything as default and I'll say run. It's trying to activate the device for me, and as you can see it start blinking. It means the IoT hub is working and we are going to get messages. Let me go back to Microsoft Fabric now and try to add this device. So I'll use new source Azure IoT Hub. Let me give it as a name Amit Test IoT Hub. Create new cloud connection and I'll use IoT Hub Amit. New connection, let me give a name to the connection. We will use shared access key, name and shared access key. So for that, let's go back to the Azure, and in Azure, we'll go to the shared access keys. We'll go to IoT owner. Let's use this name. And then let's use the key, the primary key from there. Let me copy the primary key, come back and use that and say create. Now let me choose the connection. Now the consumer group we have not created, we are expecting one default one. Let me use the default one. So the consumer you can create inside the hub. In the IoT hub, if you want to create the consumer groups, you can go to the built-in endpoints, and inside those endpoints you can create a new consumer group. Let me try right now with default. If it doesn't work out, I will come back here and create a new consumer group. Let me use add. So property value default is not valid. So let's go back and create one consumer group. Power BI, we are creating a new consumer group, Power BI. Let's go back and check this out. Let's refresh this connection. Now we should get Power BI. We got Power BI JSON format, and let's use add. So default is not going to work. So you need to create a consumer group, and that consumer group you should be able to add, and it is trying to preview. Right now the preview has failed, no data is received, but let's wait for it. And we can go ahead and check is the data also getting generated or not from our device. Our device is generating data. It's blinking. As you can see, we are now getting the data for temperature and humidity and few other data points also we are getting. The data is coming. You can view the details, you can do the data preview, you can look into data insights, and you can also look at runtime logs. So right now we only have information in the data preview and then little bit of information in the data insights. Too smaller data for some kind of insights. Now what is the destination? Custom app, Lakehouse, KQL database, or Reflex? Now we have to choose one of the destination based on what we wanted to do with that. In today's video, what we want is the destination. We want to use Reflex. So let's click on the Reflex, add destination name. Let's call it check temperature, check temp, and we can't give a space. Let's give hyphen. Workspace 01 fabric, Reflex, no Reflex found, create new one. So let's call it Reflex temperature temp, and done. And let's add it. It's adding a Reflex or data activator. Flow is ongoing here, and a Reflex would be added, and once it is added we can go ahead and edit it. So we got the check temperature. See, it's added as a step. It's behaving like a pipeline. I got the data from IoT Hub to the event streaming. I'm checking the temperature, and I clicked on the open item to open the Reflex or the data activator, and here it is listing around those details for me. So I can see the data here. So let's assign this to a new project. Let me call it Reflex -prj-1. Assign a key column. Let's take device ID for that. Assign properties. Let's take temperature and humidity, and save and go to design mode, or save and create another. We'll say save and go to design mode. And here, as you can see, we are starting getting some data. Now we have few more actions which can do. We have a new trigger option, new property option, and custom actions. I would like to create a new trigger on existing property, that is temperature. Let's look at the temperature data. So we would like action to happen when it passes, let's say 30. So whenever temperature passes 30, we would like to have some kind of trigger. So choose the detection, numerical value become greater than 30. We can choose each time or number of time. We will say each time. So we have selected a property. Then we defined what need to be detected on that property. And now the third thing we are defining in the Reflex is what action you need. So I'll say Teams message, suppose on my own Teams, that I can say temperature is high, take action. Optional message I can leave. Let's rename it test high temperature, and it is saved. Let's start it. So now I renamed it. Let me start this. The trigger has started. Have we crossed anything 30? Not right now. I'm monitoring my teams on the other window. Let's see once it crosses 30. Let me showcase it to you. I got a message on my data activator that the data activator has been enabled for me. So at this moment, the temperature went high, 31. Okay. So let's go back to the data activator and check it out. Did we have any high action? I think this was the message, 149. Let's look at the time because it might be coming from the past. So at 1347 UTC, I'm getting this message for 1347 UTC. 1347 would be somewhere here. This was the first, I think this is the first message which I'm seeing here. So now for all these messages, I'm going to get the alerts. So 1347 would be the first time when it crosses the 30 at this moment of time. That's where I got my message. Whenever this is going to cross, I'm going to get a Teams message and I can take an action on that. Other than Teams message, you can schedule an email option on that, and you can also use email action. So here, instead of Teams, you can say email action. You can change those, or you can delete, undo it. And then there are custom actions. You can say create, like name of your action, add input, copy your connection string, and you can do that task. So if you have some custom app where you can send these messages, you can do that. I have also got few more actions, and as you can see, every time the temperature has crossed it, I got those alerts on my Teams. So this is a really interesting feature you can get on Teams. You can get an emails depending on what you need, and this is also showcase the seamless integration of Microsoft Fabric Data Activator or Reflex with Teams, which can give you an added advantage that you don't need to go ahead and do additional stuff to get messages on Microsoft Teams. So explore this. How can you get messages of various triggers on Data Activator or Reflex on Microsoft Teams? So this is what I wanted to show you in today's video, how to use Reflex. Now Reflex can not only be used on event streaming, it can also be used on a major. I can go ahead and check a major value and send Reflex. That is what we are going to discuss on another video, that how can I use existing Power BI schema and on a major can I create a Reflex and send the alert. So you go ahead and try this out. I'll give you the description of that Raspberry Pi code which is available on the GitHub, which you can use to generate the IoT messages and which you can use so that you can try this out. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching this video. Thank you.